Hey guys, we have a debate for you today. So we had a thought earlier, and we wanted to post this thought with a video. But here's what our thought was we went off Ohio State Heisman Trophy winners and their combinations that worked the best over time. And our thought process about it was pretty much we just wanted to see who was the best combination to win a Heisman in all of Ohio State history. And we narrowed it down to pretty much three. And what we got down to was Joe Jermaine, Joe Jermaine and Eddie George, of course. That one's a classic, but I can't go with them, man. I just can't do it. Troy Smith, Ted Ginn Jr., and C.J. Stroud and Jaxon Smith-Njigba. Now here's the stipulations. Stipulation number one was that it can be a potential winner. It can be someone that hasn't won yet. It can be someone that hasn't even played yet. It could also be from years past. We don't know. But as long as they're either in contention for a Heisman or have won the Heisman, that's the only way they made this list. And the other stipulation that we have is that no matter what side somebody picks, the other person has to pick the opposite side. So I'm going to let Norm go first, since I was the one that made the post on Facebook. I'm going to let him go first with the presentation of the video.
Yeah, it's wonderful here to be with Mike and to be able to join him in this discussion. I took this discussion very real, because this is a discussion that is important to us college football people. You know, when you
especially
look
Ohio
at
State fans,
especially Ohio State fans, when we look at look at what happened last year against at Ohio State, C.J. Stroud throwing the ball to Jaxon Smith-Njigba. And C.J. Stroud has great accuracy, like 70-some%. I won't go into exactly what it was, but I think it was about 70.
I think it's 70-something.
73 or 4% or something. Yeah, so C.J. Stroud was very accurate throwing the football. And we all know that. But the thing is, Jaxon Smith-Njigba is able to stretch the field very good vertically because of his speed and his running ability, route running, and his ability to catch the ball. You know, he's a phenomenal wide receiver. And I think he's going to be better than Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson. And, you know, what he did last year, you know, putting up over 1,500 yards catching. And he did very good with his decision-making. And there was great things going with him last year. I remember that one play. He went in and he had his longest, I think, reception was like 75 yards last year when I looked it up, or 70. It was something around along those lines.
It's hard to remember exact stats. But I tried writing some down for my argument.
Absolutely. So yeah, Mike kind of gets it here. But I'm excited to debate this with Mike here today, and to talk about what exactly who's better and why. But particularly last year, what C.J. Stroud did with Jaxon Smith-Njigba, I don't think that you could have any better combination really right now, because with C.J. Stroud and Jaxon Smith-Njigba, they're only going to get better as the season goes on. We found that out last year when Stroud dropped dimes into Jaxon Smith-Njigba, especially against the Utah game. He went wild. I mean, he went crazy and putting up yards like
points,
over
everything.
300 yards in that game through
100%.
Reception yards and
surprise,
all the things that he's done. Last year was just a test of what's to come.
Yeah,
and I think at this point, just the idea that Ohio State is able to play this year, and with the offensive line that Stroud has to throw the ball to Jaxon Smith-Njigba, anybody facing the Buckeyes this year, I'm going to warn you right now in this video, you better watch out. Because Ohio State is coming for you.
Yes, sir.
This year is serious, and we are going to win the national championship.
Yeah.
Enough said for me. I'm tossing it off to Mike.
And here's my counter argument before I go into my argument. I agree with him, but I'm not allowed to agree with him in this video because obviously the one stipulation was I have to pick a different side to argue for. But, so with my counter argument, I'm going to say CJ Stroud and Jaxon Smith-Njigba was a great combination last year. Don't get me wrong. But Jaxon Smith-Njigba was the third receiver. You have anything to say to that one?
Yeah, I absolutely do, you know.
Do you think he can be a number one receiver?
Well, we saw that last year, you know.
He was three.
I know. We saw that last year, though, with Stroud throwing the ball to Smith-Njigba. You know, it was good. It was really good. I think, actually, that Smith-Njigba did better than Olave and Garrett Wilson, even if he was the third guy.
That is fair.
And I believe that he still can
But here's the reason
number one.
Yeah, here's the reason why I bring
Mike,
that up.
I'm talking.
Yep, go for it.
I think he still can be he's going to be a really good number one wide receiver. I mean, come on, Mike. Are you kidding me?
No, but look, here's my only argument to that. Garrett Wilson double-teamed. Chris Olave double-teamed. You only have 11 players on defense. You're already taking out 4 for just 2 of theirs. Jaxon Smith-Njigba is going to be open. But now, Jaxon Smith-Njigba is the only proven receiver on Ohio State's roster. He's going to be getting double-teamed every play, and there's no way he's going to catch as many passes as he did last year. That's my debate. But here comes my side of the debate. Because that's just my counter-argument to him. I'm going to go to my side now. I'm going to not cross any boundaries, I hope. My side is Troy Smith and Ted Ginn Jr. Troy Smith, no matter how bad he was in the NFL, he won a lot of games. He went 32-6 during the 4 years he was there, even though he only started for 3 of those years for us. And he had less talent surrounding him. Only thing he had was Ted Ginn Jr. He didn't have a running back very often. I mean, every now and then he might switch up to another running back or another running back, just depending on what the game was or how the game was going or who the opponent was or anything. So he had a lot of changes in the backfield, so he really didn't have much back there. His offensive line was consistently hurt throughout his 4 years and really never had a receiving corps. But with Ted Ginn Jr., he had chemistry, so he locked it up. And the funny thing is in 2006, when Troy Smith did win the Heisman, it was pretty much Ted Ginn Jr.'s Heisman to lose. And he did. But here's why I'm taking that side. 1, Troy Smith won a Heisman. CJ Stroud didn't. That's simple. 2, Troy Smith won his Heisman by 91%. A 91% vote. The other 4 competitors on the list had less than 9%. That's how good he was. And the funny part is Ted Ginn Jr. was also on the list of the other 4 competitors. And another reason, Troy Smith also was in the running the year before as well. And here's the funny part to me. How can you argue for CJ Stroud and Jaxon Smith-Njigba, someone that didn't make a Heisman happen and someone that didn't make it to a national title game yet? But you can't argue for someone that did make a national title game and did win a Heisman and a runner-up for the Heisman as well. So I don't know how you can argue any other combination.
All right, well, I just got some attacks made at me, so I have the right to respond.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So with what Mike just said, he just took a very big shot.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Got to, man. Got to. All right.
So let me respond, and I will be clear.
Okay. Ohio
State has a very good offense. We have a good offensive line, but with Stroud, we have great accuracy. We've seen that last year.